Hi student, in last video we have seen that the Tenjing had offered some things to God. In that the things are biscuits, candy and little blue pencil, and this little blue pencils Tenjing's daughter has given to him. The name of the daughter is Nima, and this pencil was not ordinary pencil, but uh, this is a prized possession, a very valuable treasure of the Nima, the daughter Nima. This pencil was. As I put it down, I pointed it out to Hillary. He gave me a big smile, showing that he understood. When he was offering these things, that times he showed as he or Tenjing put it down on the that top or the summit, and then he pointed or showed to the Hillary, and then Hillary gave back a smile to him, that is he understand. Then I got out the flags which I had on piece of string about 4 feet long. I fastened one end to my ice axe, and Hillary took pictures as I held it up. And when after offering the things to God, Tenzing had uh, flags in his bag, and he put out the string of the four flags which has attached each other, and which has hanged on the that string, and the string is 4 feet long. And then Tenjing's tied or fasten means tied one end of the this string to his ice axe, this ice axe which is used to climb on the ice. And then Hillary, when he was hosting or the flying the flag in the air, that times the Hillary took the picture when the Tenjing is hosting or flying the flag on the top. As I had to bring my ice axe down with me, I buried one end of the string in the ice on the top and the other in snow on the slope down below. When we left, they were flying flat against the summit, and they have to the Tenjing has to bring the ice axe which he has put in that ice on the top. Then he buried the end of the string, one end of the string in the ice, and take out the ice axe from that place, and another string end of the string he has put in the sloping of the ice. And then when they left or they started to return, that times flags were flying in front of the peak summit. I was very thirsty. I took out a water tumbler for a drink, but found the water in the metal container had frozen, so I couldn't quench my thirst. I ate some biscuits and offered some to Hillary. And after that, Tenzing became thirsty, and so that Tenzing had put out the water tumbler for the drinking water. When he put out or take out the tumbler, since he saw that in that water tumbler, due to the metal container, the water has frozen in the that water tumbler, and so he couldn't quench his thirst. Quench means satisfy one's thirst. Due to that frozen waters, he couldn't satisfy his thirst. Then Tenzing ate some biscuits and also he offered some to Hilary. I was wearing a red scarf which my great friend Lambert, leader of the 1952 Swiss expedition, had given me last year. It was just a year ago, on May 20th, when we were standing at 20 28,215 feet, that he gave me the scarf. And that times the Tenjings had been wearing the red scarf on his head, and this red scarf was given to him by his great friend. The name of the great friend is Lambert, and this scarf was given to Tenzing in 1952 when they were on the uh, Swiss expedition or Swiss campaign. That times his great friends Lambert gave him red scarf, and in that expeditions this Lambert was the leader of that expedition, and this expedition has happened in last year. It was just a year ago on May 20th when we were standing at 28,215 feet that he gave me the scarf. In last years when they have reached on the top of the mountain, or the height is 28,250 feet on 20th May. That times his great friend Lambert gave him the scarf. I wore it all the way up the mountains from Darjeeling. As I stood at the top, I remembered him and felt that he was with me. I felt absolutely fit at the summit. My mind was absolutely clear. I didn't feel tired. Felt exhilarated. It was a very clear sensation. And this scarf was tied to his head in the all way up to the mountain from Darjeeling, he is saying to us. And he said, as I stood at the top, I remembered him. When he had stood at the top of that summit mountain, or the top of the Mount Everest, that times even now also he is remembering his friend Lambert, and Tenzing is felt that he was with him. That means this Lambert, Tenzing is feeling that the Lambert is with him. Then he felt the Tenzing is felt fully or completely fit at the summit. His mind was fully or completely pure at that times, or clear or clean at that time. He didn't feel tired, he felt exhilarated. The Tenjings didn't feel tired on that summit top, or on the top of the mountain, and also he felt exhilarated. Exhilarated means very happy and excited. Hmm. When he, the Tenjings, is at the top of that mountain, that times he feels very happy and excited, and he saying to say that this was the very beautiful sensation. That times his mind's situation is very pure and beautiful. Below all the hills and mountains looked like god and goddesses to me. The plains below looked like so many broken pieces of the map. When he looked down from that top, the thence all the hills and mountains, these hills and mountains looked him like a god or goddesses, and the plains below from that top, these are looking like the small pieces of the map, or broken means small pieces of the map. These are the looking like planes. These are the looking like the small pieces of the map. Two or three people could stand there on the roof of the world if you cut ice. 20 or 30 feet below the top, there was enough flat square for two people to sleep. You could pitch one tent there. The summit is flat on one side and steep on the other. There is snow on the northern side, rocks on the south and east, and snowy rocks on the west. We stayed on the top a little more than 15 minutes. We were lucky that there was no gale, or it would have swept us off. My next thought was how to get down safely. See, and the thinking is imagine that, or thinking in my that, if the roof of the world, this the top of that Mount Everest, and that top's ice, if we cut, then there would be the pace, and on that pace there would be stand two or three people, and 20 or 30 feet below from the top, and there was the flat square, or there was place for the two people to sleep, or there is the place 20 or 30 feet below from that summit, and on that place only two people can sleep. And he is saying to us, on that place you can build one tent there, or you could pitch one tent there. Pitch means also you make there the tent. The summit is flat on one side and the steep on the other, and he is changing describing that summit, or the top of the mountain, is flat on one side, and steep or decline is on other side, or descendants decline. Steep means decline, or descendants on the other side, and there is snow on the northern side, and the northern side there was the snow on that summit, the top, and rocks on the south and east, and there is a south and east side, and on that south and east side there were the rocks on that side, and snowy rocks on the west side. And we stayed on the stop a little more than 15 minutes. Tenzing is saying that they stopped on that little that on that top, or on the Mount Everest summit, the top. They stand there or stayed there only 15 minutes, more than 15 minutes they stand there. And he's saying that they were lucky because there were not more gale. Gale means strong winds there. That times when they reach on the top of the Mount Everest. That time there was no more strong wind. So, and if Tenzing is thinking that if there is the more gale, then they will swept this wind will swept them from the top. And after that, the Tenzing is in the mind of Tenzing there is the thought that is how to get down safely. On the descent from the summit, I was walking behind Hillary. I was following him and holding the rope tightly, and my determination was to make sure he descended safely. I must say that the climbs down was more difficult and dangerous than the climb up. If you slipped down, you would go into you would go into Kas, Kas, sorry, Kangshung, Kangshung's glaciers, and there would be no trace left of you. See, uh, when they are coming or climbing down from the summit, and that times Tenzing was walking behind the Hillary, and he was following Hillary or the following him, and with holding the rope tightly. And that time's changing determination was to make sure that Hillary would descended him safely from the top. And the Hillary must say that, sorry, Tenzing is saying that the climb down was more difficult and dangerous than climbing up. The Tenzing is saying that there is the more difficult climbing down is the more difficult rather than the climbing up. And he is saying that if you slipped from that while climbing down, if you slip, then directly you will go into the Kangshung glacier. There is the Kangshung. This is the uh, name of the river glacier, the which is originated in the ice areas or the Himalayas. So this is the Kangshung. This is the river or the glacier. This is the glaciate which is originated in the ice area. And if you slip down directly, you will go into the that river which is covered by the ice, and thence there would be no track or trace left of you. And if you went in that river, then there will no clue of you left, he is saying to us. More caution needed or more precautions needed. Of course, it took less times climbing down, but you need a more hushar caution. When I reached Camp 9, my first thought was, thank God we have been spared an accident, and if up to now there have been no accident, I hope there will be none in future. I had always prayed to God, and He had saved me. And while climbing down, there is the we or the every mountaineer or the trekker had to take the more conscious or precautious, that is. And he said that of course it took less times climbing down. While climbing down, this take less times to climb down, but that times Tenzing said that everyone or the every trekker should or the hushar or the take the precautious. And he's saying that when I reached Camp 9, when the Tenzing reached at the Camp 9, that times in his mind the first thought was he was thanking to God, that is they have been spared an accident. And if up to now there have been no accident, I hope, or there will be none in future. And when the Tenjings reached at the Camp 9 that times in his mind, the first thought was that he had given the thank, or he thanked to the God, that is, they came back without any accident. This is God's graciousness to them, because due to God's graciousness, they they came back safely. And he is saying that uh, still now there had no any accident, and he is thinking that there will not this accident in the future also. And he is saying that he had always prayed to God, and he had saved him. At Camp 9, Hillary and I were in no mood for any talking. We just attended to our own things. We stayed there about half an hour. We boiled some snow to make lemon water and drank it. When we left, we took only our sleeping bags and left everything else behind in the tent. From Camp 9 to Camp 8, where we spent the night, was an easier job just above Camp 8, where the others could see us. I raised my arms with my thumbs up. CWFs, CWS, noise, and AD, that means, and WG, Louis, saw us, and their face flushed with joy. In this way, I was able to tell them of our success. As we got nearer to Camp 8, Louis came to meet us and came up about 300 feet with tea and coffee. When they, Hillary and Tenjings, reached at the Camp 9, and that times Tenjings was in no mood for any talking, and also Hillary was no mood in any talking. As they just attended to our one things. That means as they only just done their daily work at that times, and they stayed there about half an hour. When after they done their daily work on the Camp 9, and then they stayed on the Camp 9, while coming back or climbing back, they stop on that climb Camp 9, and there stop they half an hour. And then they boiled some snow to make lemon water, and then they drank it, or drank this lemon water. And when they left, they took only our their sleeping bags, and left everything else behind in the tent. When they came back from the 9 camp, and in that camp they left everything in that Camp 9, only they have bring with them while climbing down sleeping bags. From Camp 9 to Camp 8, where we spent the night, was an easier job. And when they came back from the Camp 9 to Camp 8, and this was the easier job to came back. And in that 8 camp, they have that night they sleep in that 8 camp. But while coming from the 9 camp to 8 camp, this was easier job. But just above Camp 8, where the others could see us, I raised my arms with my thumb up. And when they close to the that camp, that times Tenjing had raised his hand or arms, and he gave the thumbs to others. They can too see them, and CWF noise and WGO saw them, and their face flushed with joy. Or when they saw Noise or Louis saw Tenzing and Hillary, that times they became very happy. On their face there is the joy. In this way, I was able to tell them of our success. And when they came back on that campaign 8, that times they, Tenzing and Hillary, tell the success to Noise and Louis. As we got nearer to Camp 8, Louis came to meet us and came off about 300 feet with tea and coffee. When Tenzing and Hillary, they are nearer to the Camp 8, that times Louis, the person, they came off the climbing up uh, to meet Tenzing and Hillary, nearly about 300 feet that Louis climbed off, and with that times he had bring tea and coffee for the Tenzing and Hillary. Another 50 feet down we met Noise, who brought us more tea. This tea smelled kerosene. Apparently, it had been made in a hurry, and somehow some kerosene got into the welcome cup. But I thought, since the gentleman had taken so much trouble to bring it, I was going to enjoy it whatever the smell. And when they are so nearer to nearly about 50 feet from the camp 9 to reach camp 8, that times the another person, the Noise, this person had climbed up to meet them, Hillary or Tenzing, and that times Noise had brought the more tea to them, and that times this tea smelled kerosene. The Noise tea was smelled kerosene. Apparently, as far as one knows or one can see, it had been made in hurry. This tea was made in hurry, and somehow some kerosene mixed into the cup, welcome cup, and so that tea had the kerosene smelled. But Tenzing thought, since the gentleman had taken so much trouble to bring that tea to them, so Tenzing was giving to joy it whether whatever the smell. So Tenzing is happily accepting the tea, or drinking the tea of the which is made by Noise. However, the smell of that tea was kerosene. However, with a happily, the Tenzing had drank this tea. Tenzing Norgay's prompts Archives of TOI Times of India. This topic or the this is all given or taken from Times of India. Thank you.